Alright, what's good everybody? Tim, also known as Yoshi McLeod here. Here with a really quick Lorcana deck profile and discussion. So here, this is a deck that I've actually run at my locals for not the past few weeks, but I've run it 3 times. In the 3 times I've gone there, my locals we do a 3-round weekly. I've gone 3-0 twice and had 1-2-1. So this is location aggro. Just taking a quick look at it, it's 62 cards. We're running for our 1-drops, 4 Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist. The card's just very good at pressuring aggressive decks dealing with some of their threats. 4 copies of Robin Hood, Beloved Outlaw. 4 Docks, Bold Knight. Dock is an insanely good card because we don't have a lot of draw power in this deck. So by running out the cards in your hand, slamming Docks, allowing you to draw more cards, this card has been absolutely insane. We're running 4 copies of Mr. Smee, Bumbling Mate. This card pressures your opponent's board very well, both by questing for 2 and by dealing 3 damage. He's just a huge body on a 2-drop. 3 copies of Sisu, Emboldened Warrior. This card, especially if your opponent's playing anything that keeps cards in their hand, it really pressures their board as well as it quests for 2, so it can win you some games because of that. One of the more surprising cards in the deck, Tuk Tuk, Lively Partner. It's an evasive card, and when you play him, what he will do is he moves himself and another card you control to a location and buffs the other character by a 2 attack. So you can play him, move your guys to a location, and use that to actually be able to deal with certain things. 4 copies of John Silver. This is the all-star of the deck, probably the best card. 2 Pete Games Referee. This card, it's okay. I didn't have any games recently when I would want to play it, but there are certain matches where this card is absolutely instrumental to keep your board alive. 4 copies of Super Goof. This card, I think, might be the least impactful card in the deck. If I'm looking for spots to trim, this is typically where I'm looking. 4 copies of Jafar Dreadnought. This is a symptom of this color combo not having great ways to draw cards, so you need something to draw your cards, and he kind of does it. And then 4 copies of Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. This card is the highest cost card in the deck, and this card is insanely good. It is one of the best cards in the deck. Like, honestly, if John Server wasn't here, this card might be the best. There are certain matchups that slamming this on 3 with your shifting on the smaller Robin Hood, this card makes such big impact that it either saves your game state or just wins the game on its own. There are no songs and no actions in this deck, but we are running 20 locations. We're running 4 copies of Jolly Roger, gives your characters Rush, and Pirates move here for free. 2 copies of the Bayou. This happened because I don't own more copies of the Bayou. I'm pretty sure I gave my extra Bayous away, and that's a me problem, not a you problem. 4 copies of Nottingham. It's just a 2-drop location that generates lore. 4 copies of 7 Dwarves Mine. This card has been absolutely insane. So when you move a character here for the first time on a turn, it pings something for 1, but if it's your Dock, which is the only knight we run, it pings things for 2. A lot of decks don't see this coming, and on 4, when you're running out of cards in hand, you ink, play Dock, draw 2 new cards, and then move him here, and then you just start shooting down your opponent's board. It's been absolutely huge. 4 copies of Agrabah. Truthfully, it was supposed to be 2 Bayou and 4 Bayou, 2 Agrabah, but I was missing cards. I had to figure out ways to get my location count back up to 20. And then 2 copies of RLS Legacy. It generates 2 lore, has 8 defense, so it's hard to deal with, and it gives your units evasive, which can be relevant. There's only 2 because it's both an uninkable and it's not one of the best locations in this deck. This deck has been absolutely insane for me. 7 Dwarves Mine has given me good ways to deal with more aggressive decks, as well as the fact that since we play Captain Hook, we play the Robin Hood package and Mr. Smee, these cards just help fight people's boards. Tuk Tuk really helps in some weird situations where if you have like a Jolly Roger on turn 4 and you need to deal with your opponent's board, you can go Robin Hood, play Tuk Tuk, move them both to the Jolly Roger and start attacking down your opponent's board immediately. Super Goof has been kind of mid, honestly. If the deck's at 62 cards right now. If you ask me where your cut's at, it'd probably be at Super Goof. We only have so many uninkables, only 10. So because of that, it is really rare we get in spots where we draw too many uninkables. It's only the 4 Dock, the 4 Jolly Roger, and the 2 RLS Legacy. I actually like those numbers for my uninkables. There's nothing else uninkable that I think of adding to this deck. Because at the end of the day, this deck is an aggressive deck that has the ability to regain tempo. Unfortunately, your only things that are drawing you cards are your Doc and your Jafar, and if they kill your Robin Hood. You can use Bayou. There have been plenty of situations where I've had like a John Silver at my Bayou and questing him over and over again to filter my hand into better cards. It's super useful. It doesn't come up all the time, but it is relevant. This deck has actually been really good. I think I played it this week that just passed. In the 3 rounds, I played against Amethyst, Emerald, which we actually won pretty well because we were able to deal with their board and just outrace them. Then we actually played a location mirror where we against Purple Steel location, and that deck was actually really interesting because while its steel package was very similar to mine, it had a lot of purple locations taking advantage of things like Library and Queen's Castle instead of my like having Agrabah, Jolly Roger, and RLS Legacy. It was actually really cool fighting against that because then they also had the 1-drop package of the purple cards to go along with the library. So they actually had a lot more draw power than me. But in the game I won, honestly, I saw 3 John Silvers. And because I saw 3 John Silvers, it just let me just run them over because I slammed a couple locations and just started questing and just the game was over. Now, with set 6 coming out soon, I actually was looking through the set to see if there were any cards that I would add to this deck. The problem is, in terms of the purple and steel, the ruby and steel cards, there weren't many cards that I was super happy with. So overall, I think there were only 2 cards that I thought were good enough. Here we go. Vanellope Blanche-Schwartz, Gutsy Go-Getter. I think this card might be worth it because you can put her in a location and at the start of your turn, if this character is at a location, you both draw a card and gain a lore. 1, it gains you lore passively so long as you can protect your locations. And 2, it draws you cards, which is something this deck has problems with. I don't know if this is good enough, but I think it's at least worth looking at and considering. The other card was the Islands I Pull from the Sea. 3-cost song, search your deck for a location, reveal to all players, and put it into your hand. This is a tutor. We don't have many tutors in this game. This is just a tutor on a card for 3 costs. Now, here's the problem. We are not a combo deck, we're an aggro deck. So my question is, what are the situations where we're gonna wanna take a turn off to pay 3 to do something like this? That is my real issue with this card. So unfortunately, I don't think we have many good additions, but I don't know, the deck seems really good. The deck, I don't think this is going to be like a competitive powerhouse by any means, but the deck has legs. I think the deck probably could use a couple more like locations with actual text on them, because Nottingham and Agrabah are great, but these are locations that are here just to up our location count and they generate us passive lore, which is good. Openly admit it is good, but even RLS Legacy, its effect isn't as relevant because it costs so much to move characters here, so it's a lot more of the time just there. But I digress. I've only played a handful of games with this deck. I think this deck is quite good. I think there's definitely something here. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. But this is the deck that I was running. If you have any suggestions, any comments, please let me know. If you can think of anything from the new set that would go well in this deck, also let me know. I think this deck's sweet. If it's not good, this deck is at least great. Alright, I'll catch you guys next time. Deuces.